Hello, everybody. It's Big Jonas here. Thursday, April 30th, last day of the month of April. Boy, what a month it was. Thanks for joining me today. Remember to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy my content. Please hit that subscribe button as well. Remember to follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Jonas. All right, let's get right into it. 31 of my closest friends watching. Let's see what we got here. Okay, epic move here in Bitcoin, obviously. Big move yesterday in the stock market. Okay, everything kind of was pumping pretty hard, and Bitcoin was no exception. We got as high as 90, just a hair under $9,500, more or less, in multiple exchanges. A lot of eyes are on this little guy over here. We're putting in some sort of a head and shoulders top here. That still seems to be playing out right now. Where are the key areas of support? What are the key areas of resistance? And what has all happened here? So since this is the last day of the month, I just decided let's look at the monthly chart to start with. Kind of look at it in linear for starters, and we'll check out log scale. So March was definitely an epic month. We had capitulation volume. We had capitulation wick. Okay. Um, April is looking like it's kind of finished with almost a bullish engulf of the previous month's candle body. Can't argue with that. That's a very good sign there. Um, but we are hitting definitely key historical resistance to say the least. I do want to look at some indicators on the monthly chart. I'm kind of hide my volume for just a moment here. Look at the Bollingers here. Okay, so we've regained middle Bollinger support. That was very important. Remember, the middle Bollinger is only the 20 period moving average. But because we were able to regain middle Bollinger support, my bias is always if you're trading above the middle BB, upper Bollinger can definitely be a target. So until we lose that middle Bollinger support of the monthly, which is still a hair over 7K, it's hard to argue that the upper Bollinger is out of the picture. In many ways, it's definitely in play in that aspect. EMA 12, EMA 26, going to hide the price action for just a moment. As you can see, these guys have been in a bull cross, for 5, 6 years here. I mean, I guess if I went back to Bitstamp or something, we could see where this actually did cross. I know it was somewhere back in 2015, 2016. But as you can see, even with our bear market of 2018, we never even crossed these guys bearish. And what that says to me, to be quite honest, is that we will someday cross these bearish. I cannot imagine that these will continue to hold their bullish spread and continue to spread out and maintain that bull cross, that 5-year bull cross, indefinitely. Doesn't mean we can't go a lot higher first, but at some point our blue line is going to trend below our yellow line on the monthly chart. Checking out our moving averages. So obviously the 200 and the 100 aren't even in play yet because it's still too far. Not enough data has happened here, but the 50 is definitely in play. We can see, well, once again, that 50 on the monthly did act as some sort of support at least. As long as we could continue to trend above the 50 on the monthly, that would be about $5,200 right now. That's going to tick up a few $100s as we open up next month there. Again, another key level there to hold. Ichimoku, not a lot of data here. Obviously, this is a very high time frame monthly chart, but a key area to watch is our Tenkan Sen. You can see the blue line right here. It's right around $8,500. That was acting as support to resistance and now back to support, and that's a key area. Kaijin Sen resistance just a hair under 10K. And lastly here are TD sequential. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 1. So not really we haven't been able to string together a lot of bullish candles, since back here, and we only got to 4 on the bearish ones there. So this could be the beginning of 1 through 9, right? We could see the next 9 months of just bullish price action, but we are going to definitely do another price flip here with a green 1. starting there, and we'll see what next month holds. If next month can put us a green 2 close above the green 1 on the monthly, that would instigate a long entry there. This is our CMF, our Chalkin money flow. Um, we are still below our zero line here. This is key. Even with all this bullish moves here, you can see how in the depth we are way down here, and how long it's taken. Now, I do have this nice little inverse HNS here on the bottom that does look like it played out quite nicely here, and is basically finding that momentum onward. Am I frozen here? What the frig? What is going on here? There we go. Try that again. Okay, so this is our CMF here, our chalk and money flow. There's our zero line. Okay, monthly, bull markets trend above our zero line. We have a ways to go to get above it, but I do like, this back test here, kind of this area, kind of back tested it, came back and accelerated off it. So still looking a little better here on our CMF, but clearly a ways to go indeed. Nice V bottom here on our on balance volume. Again, this is the monthly chart here, but still a ways to go. And as you can see, the differential on our OBV on our monthly from back in 18's highs and 19's highs to where we are now, still a work in progress. Still in a bear cross rejection here on our Stoke, okay, with lots of running room to go down here. We don't even see our bullish move here at all, really, on the stochastic here, even though we're up 100% from our lows from last month. Barely even registered there on our Stoke. I do like this squeeze momentum here. We are building bullish histograms that continues to move here. We'll continue to keep an eye on that as well. And lastly here, our MAC Dizzle. Higher low here in our histo, still in our bear cross here of our indicators. And this is what a bull market looks like. This is what a bull trend looks like. Both of these guys just screaming higher, very clean. Okay, we're still in chop, chop, chop here. Okay, so there's no trend yet established here. And frankly, I still think we're basically finding this resistance here, and that probably is going to hold for some time. I'd be surprised if that actually made a move there. So end of the month of April, quite a month it was. Definitely a nice bullish candle here. But we've done this before, right? We've had a real shitty month. We get a gorgeous looking bull candle. We even put a higher high in the following month, and then only to kind of give that back and give that back. What I want to make note of is that this bullish move here was able to kind of build up, right? Small green, little bigger green, big green, really pumping. Because we blew all our load here so quickly in April. I would be surprised if we see another candle like this going into next month, just because I don't think we're in this phase yet. I just don't think we're in this phase yet. This little wick here, I mean, this literally was formed in the past 12 hours here, so I'm not going to think too much there about the wick. It is Thursday. Let's check out the weekly candle here. Okay, nice little look here. Obviously, we do have again this upper wick, but this literally formed in the last 12 hours, so I'm not going to think too much of it. We have to wait for our weekly candle to close. We can see middle Bollinger resistance turn support, upper BB resistance at 10.5. Our EMAs are actually still in a bear cross here. Okay, we actually even still haven't crossed bullishly yet, and I actually think we're kind of maybe touch this here and get that initial rejection, initially, before we actually see if we can test this. Once we cross bullish here, okay, once these EMAs cross bullishly, that's a huge sign there. This was our fake out here. Okay, this was a clear sign of we're going down again because of that cross there. Just as this was a huge sign here that we had such great bullish momentum that was going to basically be in play for quite some time. So still a ways to go here. Remember, we were able to curl around and then just shoot up here. This one feels just a little differently because of how long this bearish trend was. Okay, it allowed this bullish trend to commence. We're still daisy chaining here, and there isn't a lot of structure here to tell me we're about to do this loop and just rip here. I actually think we're going to get a little more resistance here, and probably an initial rejection when our EMAs do actually touch. Moving averages 50, 100, 200. Now, this was very key. The 50 was touched, broken through yesterday. As you can see, we are literally right under it right now, like to the penny, and how much we were able to advance above it. But similarly here, in this candle here, we were able to advance well above the 50, you know, before on the intra week, right, before closing below it on this very strong rejection. So support, resistance, intra-week, breakout, right? But right now, that MA50 on the weekly is still acting as resistance. Now, remember when the MA100 was touched, resistance, resistance, support, back test confirmed, explosion. So we might have to fart around here for some time in the mid to upper 8Ks, okay, to eventually be able to blast and hold above MA50. Until we do that, MA50 will remain strong resistance until proven otherwise. This is Ichimoku Cloud. I love my Ichimoku Clouds. It gives me very good context as to where we were. I did not think we were going to be able to get up here so quickly, but sure enough, we did. And as you can see, we just didn't get up as high as I wanted, 80. If we had touched this right here, I'd be super stoked because I would know this would be the resistance. But I don't know. I guess it's pretty much close enough. We were able to break through the Kaijin again intra-week, but now we're below it. And I expect this to be very strong resistance, the lower cloud resistance, as high as 9K, and then it actually dips lower as we get into the summer months, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere as a whole. As you can see out here, I think we're going to do a Kumo twist. A bullish one much later in the year here. Even if we go sideways here in price action, this will eventually twist bullishly. As you can see, this has been a red cloud ever since January of 19 there. So from a weekly trend change, you just can't be bullish on anything until we get a green cloud here, and we can start pumping and actually using that cloud as support where it's been resistance ever since. And lastly here, our TD sequential on the weekly, we are on a very nice green 4, above a green 3, above a green 2, above a green 1. Okay, so a nice pattern here. There is definitely running room that says, hey, we can get 3, 4, 5 more weeks potentially of bullish upside potential. Because our 4 now is so much higher, this actually gives the chance of green 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, but doesn't mean higher highs. We can still put a lower candle on our 6 versus our 5 and still have it be a green 6, because remember, we count 4 back in the TD. So this is a green 4, not because it's above a green 3, but because it's above 1, 2, 3, 4, this candle right here. So we have running room to keep the green sequential intact, for several more weeks to come. Again, oscillators here on the weekly. This is our CMF on the weekly. Remember, the monthly, it was below the zero line. On the weekly, we have come above it, and that's a very key sign there. Perhaps we'll do some sort of back test there and continuation, but very important move there on the CMF to be above it on the weekly scale. This is our OBV on the weekly. I mean, I guess you can't really ignore this higher high here. This just straight up shot there is just very impressive. I mean, is this accumulation? Yeah, it's accumulation. Okay, it is accumulation every time we get down to this area here. Okay, but the fact that we're putting this higher high in our OBV while we're putting in these lower highs in our price action, I think, is actually pretty notable. We have a higher BBV, a higher OBV oscillator here on the weekly with a price action that's half what it was when this OBV peaked up here as well. Now, these shoot ups here, okay, one here, and of course one here. They are followed by pullback, consolidation, not necessarily capitulation, but definitely um, ooh, consolidation. I'm not even on. Oh, shit, Mike. Let's see here. Consolidation. All right, how's that sound? Does that sound a little better? Let's see here. All right, how's that sound? Does that sound a little? All right, keep me posted on the mic there. I'm using my auxiliary mic. Um, and keep going here. RSI. So RSI is very interesting here on the weekly. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Resistance, resistance. We're right there again on this falling wedge line of resistance. Okay, we got this triangle playing out here. Okay, we get this. And there it is. You know, there's this resistance line. Now we can get above 56, 57, 58. Okay, if we can get above these key areas of the weekly RSI, that would be a very, bullish move there. But for now, this falling line of resistance is definitely still in play. We have our MACD again. This is our weekly chart. Bull cross here, bullish histogram here. I can't complain about that. I can't argue with that. I can't say that's bearish in any way. That's a good sign. Definitely a long way to go, okay, to keep the move flowing here. But these are things that we need to keep an eye on because until we get our indicators above our zero line and until we put in several more of our bullish histograms here, this is still bearish. Oh, Jets. And that's something that we really have to keep an eye on because we're not confirming yet this move from a bullish standpoint is sustainable until we can get that longer term trend to change in a meaningful direction. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm going to switch the mic out here. Let's see if that's any better. Okay, I'm going to switch the mic out here. Let's see if that's any better. All right, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so where were we? Looking at here the MACD. All right, so this is where we are in the weekly time frame. Now, the next thing I want to look at, I'm going to go back to log scale here, and let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about that. I mean, talk about like wow, wow, and wow. We didn't quite get there, but I think I guess we kind of did. You know, close enough. Horseshoes, hand grenades, right? Okay. We've once again touched this falling line of resistance. Okay, we've touched it again. That sounds good. And once again, it rejected our price action. You know, we had this bullish move here, resistance, bullish move, resistance, bullish move, resistance. Now, if we go back to here, you can see, wait a minute, it doesn't really line up, right? We'd have to do this, and then we'd have to do something like this, and it doesn't really work. Well, let's go back to linear and see if that makes a difference here. Well, linear is kind of the same deal. If we kind of ignore that, maybe we'll just ignore this upper wick here. We'll keep ignore the upper wick here. Okay, maybe we'll just use the candle bodies, starting with our first one here, ignoring this. Okay, so this line, you know, it can definitely be drawn several ways here, and it can definitely be subjective in several ways. Ideally, you'd want to kind of keep it all right there, but if we ignore these two little upper wicks here, and this upper wick, we just call these FOMOs, okay, and this little FOMO guy here, we're pretty much in agreement that we're hitting this upper line of resistance. Now, where is our lower line of support? Well, our lower line of support, I would argue, is kind of something like around here. Again, I'm ignoring these super low wicks here because of their, you know, we had the FOMO up here, we had the BLOMO down here, okay? And we're still putting in this triangle of consolidation. Now, this triangle of consolidation, this can take us, you know, through the end of the year, right? bouncing back and forth, finding support, finding resistance until we can get above here, which is really 10.5, 10.6. Okay, so it's the horizontal resistance that's 10.6. Okay, until then, we could be doing something like this, back to here, back to here. Now, the tighter we get, I mean, even like if I was, if this were a stock and I'd see this kind of consolidation, 18 months, 2 years of consolidation here, I'd be like, wow, this thing is prepping this explosive move here. 3 years of just triangle consolidation, a low, a high, a higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high, boom, boom, boom. Okay, this is priming the pump. This is incredibly bullish to me. The longer we can keep this coil tightening and strengthening, and then getting into a situation where we actually get that breakaway speed where we just go ballistic here. And I've seen that in stocks many times. Consolidation, super tight. Okay, because what you're doing here is you're so traders can be very impatient. The hardest part about trading is waiting. Okay, basically. Doing doing freaking nothing is like the hardest part about trading, because what you're trying to do is it's so hard. Traders think that it's like you instantly enter a position, and if it's not green instantly, then you're either too early or you're just screwed there. But you're not going to hit the nut bottom, so don't try and hit the nut bottom. If you enter a position, you enter a position that the price goes down, okay, you can add to that position at a lower price point, so you're dollar costing into your position there. Okay, so you're using all your tools, you're using all your indicators that you use to basically decide if you want to enter or exit trade. Okay, but don't think that just because your trade is in the red initially that you've basically screwed up, because it's so hard to just hit that nut bottom. And the thing about patience, especially with Bitcoin, is I found that I do the worst in Bitcoin trading when I trade too much. Okay, if you do a couple trades in Bitcoin, I mean, you can see once a trend is established, a trend is established. This uptrend was established. This was established. When the downtrend was established, even though we have these moments that Bitcoin pumped thousands of dollars to the upside, the downtrend is still established. Even with this move here, the downtrend is still established until proven otherwise. Now, talking to Cheds yesterday, who apparently has changed his name to Little Cheds because of the $9,000 Bitcoin break, and we have this broadening descending wedge here that is still forming, and we definitely have hit that upper wedge resistance once again. Lower wedge here would take us again back down to like the 3Ks there. You know, the speed at which that can happen is very subjective. We've seen how quickly Bitcoin can dump. We've seen how quickly Bitcoin can pump. This thing happened in 3 weeks. This thing happened in 4 weeks. Okay, so these things can happen. I guess 5 or 6 weeks. So these things happen quickly. We can lose 50% in a month and a half. We can gain 100% in a month and a half. The volatility is definitely there in Bitcoin. But is this it? Now, there's two reasons why I think that this happened. Well, really three reasons. Number one, very oversold. It was so oversold on so many indicators and oscillators when we got this low here, back down to $3,800. The move was so quickly, it was so quick. Okay, so we get that slingshot spring back effect. Okay, two, the S&P 500 has been very bullish as well. It's basically been trending with Bitcoin. I guess I have to see that on the daily to get a little better sense of that. Right there. Okay, there was the bottoming in the S&P 500. Bitcoin actually found its legs a little quicker than the S&P did, and then over the past several weeks, the S&P has been moving up, an uptrend. Bitcoin has as well, and then this last move here in the S&P kind of allowed Bitcoin to do its explosive. So Bitcoin is still trending with the stock market. Okay, remember Bitcoin fell significantly more than the stock market did. Okay. Um, Bitcoin fell 60%, okay, where the stock market fell 30%. So it's okay and only natural for Bitcoin that it would rise, you know, up to 54, 50, up to 136%, while the stock market regained from that 30%, almost 20%, 22% of that, okay? So the volatility in Bitcoin is definitely notable, but the trend still stays the same. S&P does well, Bitcoin does well, S&P pulls back, Bitcoin's probably kind of pulled back as well. And the third reason why this is happening is the halvening, which is roughly about right there. Um, that's not that far away. We are only 12 days away, 11 days away from Bitcoin's halvening. Um, so if you're a miner, okay, if you're a miner and you get a shit ton of Bitcoin, are you waiting for this halving to take place? Because after the halvening, your reward is going to be your block reward for miners is going to be cut in half. 12 to 6, I believe. Um, and the inflation rate for Bitcoin is going to drop to a little under 2%, which in itself is very bullish over the long term. But short term here, we have miners that have a shit ton of coin, okay, and they're thinking to themselves, well, maybe I was going to sell some here, maybe I was going to sell some here, but now we're up here. I don't know what's going to happen here with the halvening. I don't know what kind of volatility I'm going to see in the halvening, but I'm going to take my chances here and take some of that coin off the table. This is going to put downward pressure on the price action of the Bitcoin in the next several weeks when those miners decide to unload some of that coin to basically take some off the table, take some of that because they have to pay these bills, their power bills to mine as well, and that's very important. Bitcoin daily candle. Okay, look at this guy here. Now we still have 7 hours left to go in our day. So I don't want to make any major conclusions yet about this candle here. What we do see is we see volume is solid. Okay, we'll probably get a similar volume to yesterday's candle price. Obviously, if this candle closes as it looks, it's a pretty nasty shooting star at the very top of a trend for sure. But again, 7 more hours left to go. We'll need to, confirm if this is going to be, a major reversal candle in Bitcoin. Still too early to say that. And remember, we had such a huge move in price action yesterday. I mean, we basically, we're up 20%, and now we've come back down, given back about half of that there. So, up 20%. And now we're down 9%. Okay, so yes, a pullback indeed. Yes, a nasty looking candle indeed. But let's keep things into perspective. Just if you had said to me like last week, hey, Bitcoin's going to find support above 85, $8,600, I'm not sure I would have believed you, but now here we are. Um, Where's our low so far? Okay, so look, we back tested here an area where we also did find support, okay, back in the end of February. That became resistance very quickly there. So key area of support, $8,500, okay. This does open up a liquidity gap, okay, of this candle, okay. And also, you notice how you notice how when we get these big candles in Bitcoin here, whether it's on the green side or the red side, okay, they tend to be filled, okay, with price action. Boom, boom, back to back, huge green candles. Took a few weeks, but we basically filled that liquidity gap. Big green candles here, all the way up. Boom, 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 boom. Filled them all up. Big one here, filled them all up, okay, all the way down. Remember down here, this guy here, big liquidity gap right here, untested until right here, filled it up. Okay, so we have liquidity gaps obviously um, down here, way back here, but I just kind of want to focus on the near term future here. And we actually have a couple that I like to point out. One is right here. liquidity gap. Now we can see, well, why is this a liquidity gap? Well, look at this one here. See how we had this nice green candle here, and then the follow up was this pin bar kind of thing here. Not a pin bar, but like this little hammer where intraday we came all the way back. We filled the liquidity, okay, and we shot higher. Okay, so there is not a gap here because we basically back tested this greenness here and we held it and we punched through. When we had this green one here, we back tested only to here and then again only to here. So we didn't fully backtest this price area of action here. Same with right here. Okay, big green candle. There was our back test. Okay, we never filled this gap right here as well. And then there's one more right here. And then, of course, all of this, more or less. So these are things that I'm seeing here that I can definitely see being filled, just as it's always been filled. I mean, of course, I want to be bullish on Bitcoin. Nothing will make me happier to be bullish on Bitcoin. But we have to kind of keep this whole perspective in mind here that every time we've had bullish price action, bullish price action, bullish price action, since 14K, we've given all of it back. We've given all of it back. We've given all of it back. And now we're at the potentially topping period of another bullish extent here, here, and now here. And, every time that happens, we give it all back. We give it all back. Are we going to do the same thing one more time? Is history going to repeat? And until it doesn't, I have to assume it will. I want to talk about this thing that we always keep seeing. People do this, right? And people do this, and they're like, oh, there's divergence. This is not divergence, okay? Just because volume was very high here and then not as high over here, that doesn't mean anything to me. We have capitulation volume in these candles here, right? And then if you look at just the volume as a whole, we're pretty much in line, frankly, we're actually a little higher on average than where we pretty much were all the past year or so. Okay, so volume, I'd say, is consistent, not diverging, while the price rises there. Okay, price was rising here, volume didn't really do much. Okay, price was falling here, volume really didn't do much. But a couple things we do note is we had topping volume here, top of price. We had bottoming volume here, bottom of price. Okay, we had capitulation volume here to a bottoming of price. We had topping volume here as well. So these massive volume spikes do tend to signal tops and bottoms. And this cluster here that we're forming right now, past couple days, is notably very high volume. Same with this guy here, okay? These tend to be signals of bottoming patterns and of topping patterns. So right now, our volume past couple days could suggest this is more of a topping pattern than continuation. But as I said, maintaining supports, in the key area above the mid 8Ks, or even I really say around $8,000 because once we fell through this 8K area here, that was it. That was when she really capitulated pretty hard here. So we're going to keep this in mind. Bitcoin still has running room on the down, right? Consolidation to still keep this area as support before trying another leg higher. The halvening, which is in 2 weeks, week and a half, it can definitely be a buy the rumors, sell the news thing. Okay, how many times people were asking me about do I think Bakkt was going to change the industry or the ETF, or deregulation or China allowing mining, stuff like that. All these news driven events have always been narratives for Bitcoin, that have been able to help drive the price. Um, but they're just that. They're narratives that drive the price. And at some point, as we get closer to this actual event or the event itself, the rug gets kind of pulled off from under them, and that's it. So we can't say that this is, or we can definitely say this is a rejection so far, but we can't really say that it's from a trend change is over here. Now we're kind of basically go back to back down, start to kind of pump down to new lows once again. Um, this is kind of a channel as well. People were watching this as a rising wedge. I was actually thinking this was more of a channel than a rising wedge. That tends to be the case with Bitcoin there. So when we fell out of this, I was even more convinced we were doing some sort of a channel here. I didn't know this was the channel here. I was probably more down like this. But even if I was down like this, you could even argue that middle channel support is holding support, right? And that we're actually way above it there. But for now, this is the new updated channel that we're going to keep an eye on. Um, Again, I'm ignoring the very lows of this wick here because this was like just as I would ignore the very tops of other wicks on the upside here. We from 3,800 to $4,300. We weren't here very long. Okay, really, it was the back test wick that's much more important to me than where we actually did the low here. As you can see, the back test wick to our top here, to here, to here. Everything seems to line up pretty solid there. So similarly, I would be looking for our middle channel to keep holding that support. And again, that's still mid 8Ks, okay? So all is not lost, even if we put in a shooting star here on our higher topping volume, because we have middle channel support to hold us, as well as horizontal support that could go a little bit lower, maybe intraday. But as long as we don't lose that, that would be a key feature to keep um, up and running. 78 of my closest friends watching me today. Only 24 thumbs up. Let's get that a little higher there. What's up, Jeanette? What's up, AD? What's up, Jackie Susian? What's up, Victor Chi? What's up, Nej D? What's up, Gary Dotson? What's up, Chris C? What's up, Jonas Weber? What's up, Edgar? What's up, Andre? What's up, Handy Rams? What's up, probably not Paul? Yo, yo, indeed. One more thing I wanted to discuss, and that actually two more things I want to discuss. Okay, so one is the CME. I'm kind of go to the 4 hour. The 4 hour is my CME go to. This gap here at $9,000, okay, has been filled. Okay, this was open since early March. Big old gap here. We initially got close, but really didn't fill it. And then the second pump we had overnight definitely filled the gap there. We did open up a new gap as well on this move. I thought I saw it yesterday. Yeah, right there. So I'm gonna come down. There's a new gap here at $7,600. And of course, we have our gap here at 11.7 and our gap down here at $3,500. What I say? I say that the 4 hour gaps, um, every 4 hour gap in the history of the CME, going back to December of 2017. Every 4 hour gap has been filled. The longest one it took was this one here back at 13.8. It took almost a year and a half to fill it, but it did fill it, and it also marked our top here of 2019. I find that notable, and because of that, I basically see that as an area where the 4 hours will consistently fill. And so far, so good. Okay, so 9,000. Okay, it filled. Okay, I can't tell you though which one is going to hit next. Okay, are we going to hit? Let's make this red. price label. There. So I can't tell you that 76 is going to fill before 11, or I can't tell you that 35 is going to fill before 11. And we could go 11 to here, to here, to here, okay? But we definitely have 3 gaps that are open in the 4-hour CME, and I still expect them all to be filled at some point in history. The last thing I want to look at is Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance. There she is. Now this was interesting. I don't. Is that just real? No, that's bad data. Okay. So this looks pretty bullish to me, and by bullish I mean this looks good in terms of Bitcoin dominance, reasserting. Bitcoin has been in the 60s, seems like forever, since we fell through. So from January, basically all of this year, from January to now, Bitcoin has been dominance in the mid 60s. Okay, this has allowed obviously altcoins to move quite nicely. Some of them for sure. You know, Ethereum, um, the BSVs, the BCHs, Links, Ripples. God help us. But these last 2 candles here on the dominance are quite notable. And Bitcoin could definitely be asserting. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's bullish for Bitcoin. Remember, dominance can rise when everything falls. It's just everything's falling more than Bitcoin. Okay, so if all coins really begin to take the shitter, this can still rise and Bitcoin can still fall and dominance can still rise. I expect this 70 area, or at least 68, is a very key area of Bitcoin dominance resistance. But for now, I expect this to continue to rise, and I expect the king to reassert Bitcoin, which means I think this is actually bearish for altcoins, the way that this dominance chart is currently setting up. I did want to do one more thing here on the Bitcoin chart, and that was a couple Fibonacci's. So let's do this one here. Now, I love the 84. The 84 to me, I've seen it hit so many times in crypto and Bitcoin. It is a fib number, and it literally tagged it to the penny. 94.70. What do we hit here? 94.78. Okay. So actually, right there and right there. So literally right there. Okay. And again, that's very strong resistance. The 78 to 84 area is kind of that next cluster um, after we pass through our golden pocket area as well. So this is important to me as very strong resistance. Again, another narrative as to why this move could definitely be topped off. Let's think about this from another standpoint here for Bitcoin 14K. And again, you know, trying to climb back up the mountain there. So climbing up the mountain there, we got as high as the 55, okay? And right now we're just under the 50. So, you know, almost 50% retrace back up from, you know, 14K down here and then back up to there. And then I'll do a third one here from back from Bitcoin 20K to our current low. Well, I'll keep the lows there. So this is our high, this is our low. Still, this isn't our low, this is our swing low back here. And as you can see, we hit the 382 again to the penny on that climbing up the mountain resistance. So the 236 hovered around that. There was our support. Okay, once we're able to close above that and stay closed above that, there was our acceleration. 382 resistance, which puts the 50% at 11.4, okay, as the next area of major fib resistance to climb back up the mountain, which started at Bitcoin 20K here. So another key fib level touched to the penny on this move here. Very notable indeed. What's up, Erman? What's up, M? What's up, Simon? Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I think I'm going to call it a wraps here. Until next time, Big Chonas here. Please hit that thumbs up button. Please follow me on Twitter. Please follow me on YouTube. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.